first of all, anytime you go on the road and you can get a win, it's a good win. And when you got to travel 10 and a half, 11 hours, and you got to play at a place like Chadron, then that makes it a great win. And it was a standpoint that we did some really good things in that game. We had some mistakes yet. We still have a chance to really continue to improve. But I'll tell you what, it was a little bit of a wild finish, but it was an exciting finish. And it was a standpoint that in the second half, I think we kind of took control of the football game, and then they scored late, and then with that onside kick, just added some major excitement to it. But our defense really stepped up and played exceptionally well, I think, in that second half. And then even at that point, to get a stop there, and then we got the ball back, we went again, and they used their timeouts, and we had to stop them again. And then obviously it was great to kind of just put the icing on the cake with Justin's interception and return there. But Chadron's a really good football team, and that's a tough place to win. So it was a great win for our guys coming off the road.
And then Justin, you know, kind of people are going to talk about your pick six in the last game, but I want to ask you about blocking kicks. You lead the country right now in blocking kicks. What is it about that part of the special teams that excites you?
Honestly, I just enjoy it. Honestly, that's the first thing that they told me that I would be doing when I first got here. So I kind of just took the role and kind of just gave it my all, to be honest.
Yeah. And then, Coach, sorry, back to you now. But mine's coming up this weekend. Nationally ranked opponent, you know, high-powered offense, really improved on the defense too. Talk about the challenges with them this weekend.
You know, Mines has been a really good football team, and I think one of the things that has happened is they have been so dynamic on offense over the last several years, people forgot how good their defense is. And they have been really good defensively, really for the last 4 or 5 years. And at the same time, they have just been very dynamic. They've been one of the best in the nation as far as scoring points. And so, you know, they're a little bit different this year. Their quarterback is a freshman, and I mean, he's a little bit different type young man. He still does a great job of running their system. They graduated a couple of outstanding receivers and things, but they've still moved the football very well, and they're still putting up a lot of points. And so when we start taking a look at it, we know we got to play great, sound defense, and we got to be assignment sound. Last year, we had a lot of broken assignments. This year, we know we got to be assignment sound. We got to be physical up front, and we got to take care of business. And then on the offensive side, you know, it is going to be a very physical game. They maybe have as physical of a defense as we will play this year. They flat get after it, and they are very good and very physical up front. They don't want you to be able to run the ball. I think they lead the conference in rushing defense, and so we've got to avoid some of the minus yardage plays. And if we can do that, and we can stay ahead of the chains, I think we have a great opportunity offensively. And so, you know, I think we pose some problems for them because we got a lot of different guys that have been involved in our system. You know, whether it be with the wide receivers, whether it be at the tight ends, whether it be at the running backs and running the football. And so we know we have to take care of the things that we control, and that's basically the execution of the plays, the execution of taking care of the football. If we do that, I think people are going to see an outstanding football game on Saturday.
Questions?
Yeah, you guys are.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, you guys are 2-0 on the road and 0-2 at home. When you hear that, what crosses your mind?
Tells me that we've had too many mistakes from home. You know, I mean, quite honestly, you look at games, we're 2 plays away from being 4-0. We're basically a play away from being 1-3. And so it's a standpoint that we know we have to take care of the penalties, we have to take care of the football, and if we do that, we have really a very, very good football team. And that's our objective, is control the controllables. You know, we don't control the weather, we don't control the officials. There's a lot of things we don't control the opponent, but we can certainly control how we react and how we prepare. And these guys have done a great job every week of getting ready for that. And if you look at it, we are a very young football team. Well, sometimes some of that inexperience is going to lead to a few of those mistakes early in the year. Every week we get a week older, and we expect our performance to continue to get better every week as we advance in this season. But I can let these guys address that as well.
Go ahead. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. You guys
You're just not a night team.
Yeah.
You guys are 2-0 on the road, 0-2 at home. When you hear that, what kind of crosses your mind?
It's definitely unusual.
Yeah.
Most teams perform better and they're, I think, more prepared to play at home, and just a little different energy. But it all comes down to the fundamentals and the little things that we have been making mistakes on all season. Goals going into the year, we had to limit turnovers and limit penalties on offense, and those are 2 things that we have not done well at home or on the road, but we just find a way on the road. Maybe it's that bus ride home where it gives us a little extra motivation to come out with a win. But we definitely have places to improve before this week, and I'm excited, and I know everyone else is excited to fix that winless streak at home.
Right.
Just to piggyback off of what you said, pretty much, honestly, I just feel like we have we put ourselves in certain predicaments, muck punts, PIs on my part as well, just different situations, putting us in different circumstances. So honestly, I feel like we just kind of got to come out better and just fix our problems.
The last 2 games at home, you guys have lost barely. How sweet was it to finally get a win again?
It felt great, to be honest, and then being that I got the chance to be able to put it away, it felt even better.
Yeah. So what was happening in your mind when that was all going down?
As coach was yelling, "Get down!"
Right.
You're like,
I mean, getting to play as a freshman, honestly, is a blessing, and then kind of just my first pick six in a while. So I got the pick, and I seen the end zone. I was trying to get there.
When was the last time you got a pick six?
Ooh, I think probably middle school, my freshman year.
Really?
Yeah, it's been a while.
So it must have felt really
It
good.
felt great.
so did you have any thoughts coming in this fall that, hey, I want to be on the active roster, or?
Yeah. So when I got here, I tried to be as confident, but not too cocky at the same time. Kind of just be as humble as possible. But I made it very apparent that I was going to make myself undeniable, just to make sure I got on the field one way or another, whether it's special teams, starting a corner, whether it's nickel, whatever it is. I just want to be on the field.
So what is it about blocking kicks that works? And I was telling, it was the last home game, I told Coach Kaiser, I went, hey, where's that kid who was here a couple of years ago that blocked all the, he goes, that's all right, we got Justin White, he's gonna get this one,
I feel like they noticed me the first day of practice. We do like half lines, and I accidentally went when I wasn't supposed to, and I still ended up blocking the kick. So they kind of just was like, okay, well, they see that I would get off of the wall and stuff like that, so they kind of just took a liking to it, I guess.
You kind of hear the benefits of redshirting your freshman year, kind of getting no injuries, and you kind of see the speed of play.
Right.
But what do you think some of the benefits are for just starting right away?
Just being thrown right into the fire, honestly, you have no choice but to adapt.
Right.
So you're gonna sink or you're gonna drown, or you're gonna sink or you're gonna float. So they say the cream rises to the top, so I feel like I'm on my way there.
So Dagan, the touchdowns the last 2 games, I mean, you ran over, I don't know how many guys here at home, and then last week, did you just thought, I don't want to hit anybody, so I'm just gonna jump over them, or?
So after the one in Western, my position coach, Coach Barella, he had kind of been on me because I didn't really choose to go over or through the man. So I made up my mind right then that if I got the chance again, I was going to go over the guy. And the situation presented itself, so I went over the guy.
Going up for a dunk or what?
Something.
Yeah. Just the one here at home, I mean, you break a tackle on, I don't know what it was, 10, 15-yard line, knock over one guy, and then it's like, you reached, did you think, I just got to see if I can hit the pylon on that? I didn't know if you were going to be that tall.
Yeah, that was the only thing going through my head, was just to get to the pylon and try to make a play, because that game we were losing momentum at the time and we needed something to spark the team.
I know coaches said he wanted to work the tight ends into this system more and more, and it looks like you've kind of become that, okay, I'm going to say it, a Travis Kelce, I'm a Chiefs fan, sorry. But, it's that kind of role really for you, is the more athletic tight end on this club?
We have 3 very talented tight ends, and I think last year we noticed it and we tried to get the ball to us a little more, and then this year even more. And I don't know, when I get the ball in my hands, I just try to do the most with it, and hopefully they keep giving it to me.
Block first, catch second,
Right.
and take what you can get third.
Right.
Coach, if you could talk a little bit about the defense and how each one of these games has come down within at least a touchdown late in the game. What's the mentality of this defense, and how have you seen some of the progressions now coming off of 2 losses into getting that win?
Well, a couple things. Number one, if you look at the 2 games that we won, our defense hadn't been on the field as long. The 2 games we lost, we were on the field a lot, especially in the first half. And so they were having to play a lot of extra plays. And so I think in the 2 games that we ended up losing, they were just a little bit fatigued. And I think if we can keep the possession of the football on offense, if we can score the points when we have the opportunity, I think our defense has been playing very, very well. If you take a look at it, there's still been 4 touchdowns that have been scored when our defense wasn't even on the field, and it was when we were on the field offensively, and that's just an absolute no-no. And then there's also been a couple other times we've given really the opponent great field position and stuff. And so if you look at it, I think our defense has been playing very well all year long, and it's just a matter that we've put them in a couple of bad situations. So they're going to get a challenge this week, and it's going to be a different challenge because Mines has one of the leading rushers in the conference, and Cameron Mayberry. They definitely throw the football, and they're going to spread things around. And so we're going to have our hands full taking care of every phase of the game from a defensive side. But I think our guys are ready for that. And I think what Justin was talking about, I think our guys are ready to step up. They're ready to continue to get better. The same thing is true offensively. We've made plays when we've had to make plays. We've got a lot of different playmakers on the football team. And that's kind of what we got to get even more accustomed to, of just making sure that we're doing the little things right. Because if we do that, I think we're going to be just fine. But our defense has actually played very, very well all year long. And I think we're going to continue to play very well.
Justin, for you on the defensive side of the ball, when it comes to late game situations, do you feel like you feed off of that? Do you feel pressure? How do you kind of respond in those late game situations?
I mean, me personally, I like the pressure. It makes the game more fun. But I think that the defense as a whole, honestly, we appreciate everything that the offense can give us and what they can do. And so I kind of feel like we just kind of go off of that and do whatever situation we put in, we kind of just take care of it, do what we need to do.
I'm sure it'd be nice to get a blowout every once in a while, but being in 4 straight stressful games, especially on the defensive side of the ball towards the end of the game, do you get used to that? Does it become a little bit easier? Like, okay, I know what to do in this situation, or is it still kind of chaotic?
I mean, I've only been starting the past 2 games, so I'm just kind of just starting to get a chance to kind of be put into it. But like seeing it and kind of just like listening to the defense when they're talking and stuff like that, I feel like we are kind of getting used to it, unfortunately. But at the same time, it's kind of better for us because that way, when we are in a winning situation, it's even better because now we can kind of relax, calm down. The feeling, your energy is like it's still high, but you're not stressing it or anything like that.
Just stressing it on the sidelines, I'm guessing, right?
I don't know what's strong about stress. I think it's an exciting brand of football. Anybody that's a fan of football, you got to love the games that we've played in. And that's the way the game is supposed to be. And you want it to be a situation of coming down to the finish. And we give our young men a chance to win in each one of those games. I can go back to the Eastern game. The defense gave us a couple critical stops in the 4th quarter. And then the offense came back and we scored. I mean, we were down late in the 3rd quarter, if you remember, 37-17. And we had several stops consistently. We were able to drive the ball down. We scored. We put the thing into overtime situation. Unfortunately, we came up short in that game. The game against Western, defense got a couple critical stops again to give us the opportunity to come back and take the lead in that game. And then Western did a great job of utilizing the clock, coming down, and even then our defense still stopped them. They had to kick a field goal, and we'd already blocked one. We got a piece of the one, and unfortunately it wasn't quite enough, and it just fluttered over the upright. And so, I'm proud of the way these guys have competed and the way they continue to battle. And I think that just what Justin's sharing, I think what Dagan has shared, I think that these guys have grown in every one of those situations. And I fully expect us to continue to know that we can compete regardless of what the circumstances are. This football team is never out of the game. But I also think you're going to find that the level of play will continue to step up because it is that important to these young men.
Dagan, I couldn't help but notice your shirt. It's I believe it's the Rocks brand.
Yes, it is.
Is he kind of like a motivational factor when you are training for football games?
I don't know if I would necessarily say he's a motivational factor, but I do like the shirts. His work ethic is very admirable, and I think that's probably part of the reason that I'm drawn to his line of clothing. And I have a couple shirts, not a lot, but this one in particular, I think I'm drawn to his work ethic and how hard he works and the training he puts in and the just everything he does with his diet and training, and Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And then a little off topic of The Rock, but California yesterday signed a new bill saying that they're now going to allow certain football players to, get paid for their likeness and their image and stuff like that. I'm curious how it kind of affects recruiting for Division II schools maybe around here.
Right now, I have no clue, because I think it's going to be a standpoint that there's still going to be some legal issues between the NCAA, between the different states, that legislation is coming about. It's one of the things right now I'm not going to worry about. We've got a couple other things we got to worry about this weekend, and I'll worry about that as it goes later on. But I think that there are going to be some challenges in court that happen with that, with both the NCAA and with some of the states. And as far as my opinion on it, I'm going to hold that for now and stuff. But I think it's a standpoint that there's a lot of young men that have put in a lot of time into some programs, and I will say this: I still believe that college sports is from an amateur status. It is not a professional status. And I think that, at the Division I, those young men are getting full rides. They are getting some compensation for their living costs and everything else. You know what, all you gotta do is take a look at these young men beside me and the guys we have on our football team. There's not a one of them that are on full scholarship. They're paying for a lot of their college. They're working jobs to help pay for their education. And yet, I will say this, I don't think that the football game is any less important to our guys than it is anybody on the field on a Division I game. And when it comes to the heart and it comes to the mind, these young men here, they give everything that they've got. And I mean, it's critically important to them. And so I think that maybe some people need to take a look at some of the Division II athletes and see for what a real example of is, as far as young men that are true college athletes that are working their tails off to succeed both athletically and academically in the classroom and stuff. So, I think every school in this conference in the RMAC, I think the coaches will believe in the same thing. I know there's reasons that some of those guys maybe should get some of the funding, but you know what? College experience and the college environment, I think that's why it is so much more watched and so much more enjoyed than even the professional game, is because people understand why the young men are competing. And to me, man, that's the love of the heart right there.